including me.
Okay, right, so tell you what we're going to do. We're going to drop a few balls out here. Hope we don't have to use the whole lot to show you how to do this, or for you to show me how to do it. And what I'd like to do is just to see you hit a few for me, Bill.
All right.
We've got about a 15-yarder here, 45 feet or so. Why don't you go ahead and hit 2 or 3 shots, then I can have a look, see what your technique's looking like, and see what we have to work on. Well, that's a powerful one. I'd hate to play the next one.
Went a little long, didn't it?
Well, I think we need some work.
I think so.
What are your thoughts on bunker shots?
Well, what I usually try to do is I try to dig my feet in so I don't slip. And I grip the club and then I open the face, play the ball kind of ahead in my stance. And I pick it up so I can hit down on it and be really aggressive and take a lot of sand to get the ball out.
All right. Do you try to swing it outside or anything of that nature?
A little bit outside, try to cut across it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, certainly we can see you've taken a big divot there. Taking a shallow cut of sand is the answer for consistent bunker play. Now, the thing is, you see, we have a club here which is designed to do that. You know, the sand wedges, the modern-day sand wedges, where the back edge of the club is actually higher than the leading edge. What this allows us to do, we call that bounce, what this allows us to do is to actually get the back of the club making contact with the sand first. Now, if the back of my hand is the sand, you can imagine as the club comes down, we're trying to actually use the back of the club as the first contact point with the sand. The club will then slide and glide through the sand under the ball, clipping the sand, removing the sand and the ball together. What you don't want to do, you see, is get the leading edge coming down and digging this way, because no matter how hard you hit, you're not going to get much power there, because remember, there's a tremendous amount of resistance down here with the sand, and the club just won't get through. So you're going to sort of take a tremendous amount of sand, and then instinctively you're going to try to hit closer to the ball there, and then maybe just stand up on it slightly and then blade it over the green. So what we have to learn to do is to actually use the bounce correctly, and that means we have to learn to keep the face more open during the actual sand shot. Most players tend to get the face too closed. Anyway, let's go through this. Let me show you a few, and we'll see if we can get you doing it the right way, shall we?
That sounds good.
Okay, right. Now, certainly with what you said, there's a grain of truth, pardon the pun, but the thing is, what we have to learn to do is to understand how we can use the bounce correctly. Now, first thing we've got to do, as you rightly say, we have to bury our feet in the sand, and we have to get ourselves set slightly open to the target line. You see, if this is our target line here to the flag, like so, what we want to do is stand open to it. In other words, aiming our body to the left, probably somewhere in the region of about 30 degrees, something like that, okay? Not too open, but about 30 degrees here. So now we bury our feet in. We get the ball fairly far forward, as you said. So that's certainly what we want to try to do. And now we're in a position, as we set up to it there, where we can actually swing the club on the proper path.
Okay.
Now, one point that you mentioned, that you have to open the face. Well, that's absolutely correct. But you do not want to just simply open it, because you see, as you swing back, it'll just naturally close. What we have to do is to actually open the face first and then grip it. See, so when we actually swing back, the face still stays open. So that's very important. That's a different concept, isn't it?
Very different from what I've tried.
You see, so right. Always open the face first. In other words, if the leading edge points up, say, towards 12 o'clock, we want to have it now pointing somewhere in a region of about 1 o'clock, shall we say. Okay?
Okay.
Good. Then you grip it. And then we put the club down. So now we're in a position where if we swing the club on our body line, and you see this is very important to understand, we swing the club on our body line, we don't try to swing it outside. I'm already aiming to the left, so we don't have to try to take it outside, because by doing that, you see, we pick the club up too quickly, and that makes us come down too steeply. Okay. So although we want the club entering the sand, we don't want it to come down at such an acute angle that we take this big load of sand. One of the other big areas that I really work on in bunker play, apart from getting set up to it correctly and understanding that the face needs to be open, we must make sure that we have good rhythm. And we don't want to make the swing too short. If we make the swing too short, we have to then accelerate it too aggressively. In actual fact, you see, you want to control your distance by the acceleration or amount of acceleration through the ball. See, so the longer the shot, the more acceleration, and the shorter the shot, the less acceleration. But you don't want to sort of take it back to here and then accelerate through, because you get no rhythm whatsoever and you jerk the club into the sand. Okay, here we go. Nice and relaxed. Pretty simple, really. Ready to have a go?
Sure am.
Okay. Right, now, first of all, we're just going to have a little look at your technique there. So just set up to the golf ball. As we said, we want to we'll probably aim maybe, just 30 degrees to the left. That was pretty good, in fact, in your case there. So here's our target line, approximately here. There we go, good. Right, now, why don't you just hold the club there for me, and this time, remember, I'm going to open the face here, right? Point it up here, make sure the leading edge here is somewhere around about 1 o'clock, okay, and then grip it. See, that's different to what you were doing.
Yes, it is.
Okay, you had the face dead square, didn't you? All right, and then try to open it. Right, now, right, we're going to aim somewhere, in the region of about, 3 inches, say, back of the ball here, all right? Just keep nice and relaxed, but keep the flex in your knees, okay? Very good. Now, as we swing the club back here, you don't have to force the club outside. I want you to swing the club back pretty much on the line of your body. So here we go. We swing it back on the line of your body. The wrist will cock, and you can see here, you can allow the club to swing back to quite a distance. We don't have to swing it back too short. And then really, because the face is open, see, much more open, now we can go ahead and actually learn to release the club. So as we swing through, look at the face there. It feels like your right hand's almost coming underneath your left hand. But your left elbow just chicken wing slightly. There we go. Now you can see where you are there. See, that's a very different position there. So once again, let's move the ball out of here, and you can just go ahead and just try to take a divot, and you want to sense that you're actually going to make contact with the back of the club there. So much shallower divot there. Okay, so go ahead and relax there. Really feel the weight of the club there, Bill. Swing it back nice and freely, back and through. Good, and again. Good. I like that sound there. That's the sound. Good. Now, as a little drill, let me see you just swing the club with your right hand now. Hold the club just with your right hand. Now, you see, as you swing it back with your right hand, you'll notice how easily the club rotates into an open position. See, when you have both hands on and you're a little bit tight and tense, the tendency is for the face to go back almost in this fashion, you see. So just swing it back there, and you just sense the back of the club is going to bounce into the sand. Very good. And again. Very good drill, this. That's it. Good. So you should feel, in actual fact, your knees working a little bit there. You want a bit of movement there. You don't want to just stay flat-footed there. So just allow your knees just to move. That's it. Good. Now bounce the back of the club on the sand. Good. All right. Now the test. Now, remember, this really should be quite an easy shot, because it's the only shot in golf you actually don't have to hit the ball. All right? We're actually making contact with the sand, and the ball rides out on the sand. So remember, a shallow divot. I don't want you to worry about the flag. You just hit it onto the green somewhere, okay? Right, let's see if we can get the technique and the form down, and once you get confidence of getting out and get the right contact, then we'll start to aim at a target.
Okay.
Okay? Right, now, take your time. So remember the ball position, fairly far forward. That's good. You've got your grip there, and nice and relaxed. Now remember, try to keep the feeling of the swing. Keep nice and relaxed. Feel the weight of the club the whole time. You want to almost feel like the club's just falling into the sand. You don't have to help it too much, okay? Right, and a fairly lengthy swing. Have some trust in the length of the swing. Off we go. Back and through. Oh my goodness, that was a little bit different. Huh?
That was a lot better, huh?
See how much easier that came out? You see, there was no real force or tension there. Okay, let's do that once more. Right, so a little further forward maybe. That's it. Remember, say you want your club face aimed just a little right of the flag, body just a little to the left. Keep the arms nice and relaxed. Swing it back. That's it. Good. Now you really feel when you swing through, this is a little test on this next one, as you bring it down, make sure you're looking at the face. Okay. Okay, as you bring it down. Okay. Okay. Okay, bring it down. Have a look at it. Can you look at the face here? There we go. Good. My goodness, see, totally different sound there. You see, you're actually compacting the sand correctly. That sound we heard there was using the bounce correctly. Okay, Bill, well, I've got the pin set further back here. We've got about 22 yards there, I think. So what we're going to do now is just change the technique very slightly. Pretty much, I like to think in terms of the acceleration through the ball to determine the distance that I hit a shot. I don't like to think in terms of, just particularly trying to hit harder, but really keeping the club accelerating all the way through to the finish. Now, in setting up to it here, once again, we just take our normal setup position here, and I also would advise you to put the ball just a little further back in the stance as well, okay? So, because what that helps us to do is to actually take the club away maybe just a little bit lower to start with, instead of having it further forward where we might tend to take it out and up a little bit too quickly. So, just a little further back there just gets us slightly shallower on the ball. So all we do then is just make the same type of golf swing and accelerate it all the way through to the finish. Okay, now you can see pretty much the same technique, not really a whole lot different, but really my thought pattern changed in order to try to accelerate it all the way through. Go ahead and give it a go. Okay, put your feet in my big footprints there. Okay, so remember just a little further back. All right, once again, a little bit deep on it.
I want a more shallower.
That's right, and I want a little fuller backswing too, okay? So make sure you complete the backswing there. Okay, nice and relaxed there. Full swing there, accelerate it through all the way to the finish. All right, well, we're getting closer anyway. So it's going to take a little bit of practice, but as you can see, pretty much the same swing, a little bit more acceleration. Well, how about the shorter one now?
That one definitely makes me nervous.
Right, well, let's have a look at that one, shall we? Well, the situation we have right here, Bill, is that we have about a 30-foot bunker shot. Half of it is sand and half of it is green, so we've got 15 foot to cover, basically. So what we have to do, realizing the fact that the green slopes away from us and is fairly quick, we've got to sort of plop the ball up fairly high and get it to stop reasonably quickly. Really, all I do is I set up to it here, make sure that I have my knee flex here, very important, and get myself in a position where as I swing the golf club, I'm still going to make sure that I have a nice lengthy swing. If I get too short, I lose my rhythm. So I lengthen the swing and control my acceleration once again. You'll notice here on this shot here how short a follow-through I have. That means I'm not accelerating the club as much through the ball. So I really try to control the amount of acceleration that I have. Okay? Right. Now, you'll notice too as I set up to it, what I've done here is just set the face a little bit more open here. Try to get a bit more loft on the face. Okay, so setting the face just a little bit more open here. Now let's make a nice smooth swing here, shall we? Well, that sat down nicely.
Good shot.
Think you can do that?
Well, I can try.
Show me. All right, once again, we'll let you have a practice swing here just to get the feel for it. And by the way, that's a good point for folks at home to remember. To get the feel for your bunker shot, actually do it on the verge or on the grass outside of the bunker. You'll see many players doing that just to get the feeling of their swing. Okay, obviously you can't do it in the bunker. Right, now to hit the sand for me. That's it.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so nice and relaxed there now. Right, now visualize the shot still. Aiming the club 2 to 3 inches behind the ball, preferably 3 inches there. And right, just let the weight of the club just fall into the sand. My goodness, Bill. Better than the teacher. I tell you, we're going to quit while we're ahead. I don't think we're going to push our luck too much. That's great. Well, I bet I know which one you're going to ask me about next, Bill.
The buried lie.
I knew it. I knew it. Okay, go ahead. This is always a problem one for many people. Right, it sort of buries in its own pitch mark there. And there are two ways of playing this, Bill. For most golfers, it's probably the safer route is to actually close the face where You make sure you get the club digging in behind the ball, as close to the ball as you can, but remember, as you do that, the ball will actually run quite a long ways. So you've just got to expect, first of all, to get the ball out on the green. That's the most important thing, so at least you have a putt. So all I do is put the ball back in my stance a little here. Okay, put a little bit more weight on my left foot here, so I'm firmly anchored. And then I just toe the face in a little bit. You can see if I hold it straight up like that, it's actually, pointing somewhere towards, about 11 o'clock, I would say. Okay, if that was 12, somewhere towards about 11. Okay, so I simply just really turn it. This time, I make sure I turn it. In a normal bunker shot, we've said before, you open it and then grip it. This time, I'm just going to close the face here. Okay, so I close it, so it just enables me to pick it up and enter the sand very steeply. Okay, so let's see how we do here. So I'm just going to pick it up there, let the club fall into the sand. That was pretty good to leave it short of that pin.
I'll say.
All right, now let me show you the other one now. Buried. This time I'm going to keep the face open now. The whole time with both of these shots, you don't want to try to follow through. Stick the club in the sand and leave it there. Okay? Right, so we have the ball a little back in the stance, weight forward again, and I make sure my hands are well forward. You can see I've got the face open and my hands well forward. Now this enables me to get the club up very steeply so I can put the club in just behind the ball, and by keeping the face open, it'll actually send the ball up a little higher. Okay, so normally it'll help it to stop just a little bit quicker. So let's try that one. So here we go, weight forward, hands forward, pick the club up, and no attempt to have a long follow through. Even better.
Well done.
They're tough, but a little bit of practice, you can get them out as well. Yeah, you don't always get the nice level lie where you can just hit a perfect shot. You get all these little tricky ones you have to work on. So, all right, there we go. Our ball happened to finish here, okay, on the upslope. There we go. So now, fortunately the pin's fairly close here. It makes it a little bit more difficult when the pin's further away. But the big thing with slopes, Bill, is to make sure that you try to set yourself parallel to it. In other words, in this situation, obviously I'm going uphill, so what I want to do is try to set my body in such a way that my shoulders, I feel, are parallel to that slope. I'm actually going to now have the ball further forward in my stance than I would normally, so almost right off my left heel here. And I instinctively try to bury my right foot deeper into the sand. It actually helps me to tilt down a little bit more here, you see. So I get my right side really low, because what I'm trying to do is actually swing the club away fairly low and then swing up the slope. So I'm really trying to use the contour here. So let's see how we do here. I choke down on it. I set up to it here. Got the face pretty open too. See, the worst thing we can do is to have the face too square and lean into the bank and actually hit into it this way. So I set myself up parallel to the slope here, swing down the slope and then just swing up with a nice smooth motion. So you see, not a great deal of divot there. Just simply swinging up the slope and the ball pops out every time.
Well, that's great.
Let me just reach for my 8-iron here, which is not normally used out of a bunker, but in this occasion, I definitely think it'll help. Okay, stay there. Right, now, really just playing it the same way, opening the face. Remember, you see, when you're setting back like in this fashion here, you actually add so much more loft to the club. So in actual fact, if you've got to go further, a sand wedge might not travel that far. So use an 8-iron and use the same principles here to swing up and down the slope. Just like that.
That's great. Would you mind showing me one from a slightly buried lie? It seems that whenever I hit a ball into the bank, it sits like that rather than cleanly.
Well, come on, Bill, make it a good one. Knock it in there like that, shall we? Okay. Right. Well, this is normally what happens if you under club, especially if the pin's tucked close and you're going for the pin. You tend to bury in the bank there if the sand is soft. That's a pretty mean shot, this one. So the big thing is really, this time you want to sort of set yourself into the slope more, because we want the club going in, don't we? All right? Now, as much force as we can impart into the sand, the better. So I'm going to show you a little technique here that doesn't look graceful, but normally gets the ball out. So you want to close the face a little bit. You can see I've actually closed the face a little here. Now I'm in a position where as I pick the club up here, I'm actually going to try to hit it and fall backwards, because that will allow me to impart a lot more speed. So let's see how we do here.
Great shot.
And that's the way to do it. Well, we've changed location here slightly, Bill, and this is a tough one for sure. It's a difficult shot because the ball's going to come out low because you see, going downhill, it de-lofts the club. So that's the problem. It's going to come out low. Now, we've got a few yards, about 6 yards of bunker to carry. We've got to go over a little hill to a downhill lie with water behind the green. So not too tough. So the thing is, as with the uphill lie, we've got to make sure we set ourselves parallel to the slope. Okay, so try to feel that your left leg in actual fact is shorter than your right. So you bury your left foot in a little bit more, bend your left knee a little too. So that helps to get you a little more slanted here. And this enables you then to swing the club up the slope, and then the big key is to keep swinging down the slope. Whatever you do, don't pull out of the shot or don't attempt to have a long follow through. So you want to pick the club up and swing down the slope. So the other thing I'm going to do, I'm going to aim well left here too, because I want to pick the club up there and feel like I'm going to be cutting it a little bit more. So I'm actually taking it outside just a little bit more than I would normally. All right, so let's have a go at this one. Well, that's about as good as I could have done from there, Bill. It's a tough shot, but with a little bit of practice and setting up to it correctly, anybody can hit it.
Well, David, one of the things that's always been a mystery to me is how to play the long bunker shot.
Well, I'll tell you, Bill, even for the best players in the world, the long bunker shot is sometimes the most problematical. You know, here, for instance, we've got about 20 yards of bunker to overcome, and we've got 20 yards of green. So, say a 40-yard shot here. And it's a very difficult shot because it's somewhere between a pitch and a full bunker shot. So that's why it's a tricky one. Now, there is one way I feel that you could actually learn to play this. It takes a little bit of practice, a little bit of skill, but it's worth pursuing. Now, what you do is you just take a 9-iron and you try to play it the same way that you would your normal sandwich. In other words, you open the face, and certainly there's no real bounce on the bottom of a 9-iron, but what we are able to do by opening the face is create a little bounce, and that's all we need. So let's see how we do, shall we?
All right.
Okay, so I'll set up to it here. Get the ball maybe just a little back in the stance like I would for any long bunker shot. Play it in a way that, you know, I've got my hands set slightly ahead of the club. Now, big thing is rhythm. I don't want to jerk it, because if I jerk it, I'm going to stick the club in the sand and it's not going to get any sort of distance at all on it. So let's see how we do. Just try to make a nice smooth swing here. And off we go. Pretty good there, Bill.
Great shot, David.
Well, you see, even though we have tough shots, make them a challenge. You know, practice on these things, because if you practice them the right way, you can get good at them as well. And this is what the tour players do. They save pars from impossible positions. Here's a little shot that faces us occasionally. We've just got a few feet of bunker and a few feet of green. And so it's a case really of hitting a very soft shot. So I would suggest you better players out there, try this little technique. It can sometimes prove very valuable. What you do is you flex your knees, get your feet a little wider, get a slightly wider base. Flex your knees and have the ball further back in your stance than you would normally. We're also going to be standing a little further away from the ball, because that allows us to lower our hands. And as you can see, my hands are pretty much opposite the ball, maybe slightly ahead of it, but we don't want to get them too far forward. Now, the key being, by lowering my hands and standing further away, I actually open the face a little bit more. Now, what I want to attempt to do here is to get very shallow on the ball. I don't want to get steep with a deep divot. So setting myself here, I have a nice rhythmical swing here, and just try to slide the leading edge under the ball. See, that comes out so softly. And although we haven't got very far to go, it's a particularly tricky shot. So work on that one. Stand further away, hands lower, cock your wrist slightly here, not a very long swing, and just slide the club under the ball.